What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Behind the Scenes with your girl, Nina Payne. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Look, this show is about events. We discuss all things events. What happens before the event, during the event, after the event? Who are these amazing individuals, these professionals who manage all the details to make sure these events happen? And then how do we navigate the business of doing events, the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs? We talk about it all here on All Things Behind the Scenes. So when I was thinking about doing this podcast and who I wanted to interview, this next guest was one of my first on the list. She's a veteran in the event production, arts, and culture space. And I followed her career for a very long time. I admire her and respect her hustle. I can't wait for you to hear our conversation. Please get your notepads out and get to know the president and CEO of the Right Productions, Miss Shahida Mausi. That's my hand clap of praise. Hand clap of praise. Hey, Shahida.
How you doing, Nina?
I'm good. I'm so excited. I
Well,
just,
we got here. So
we
yay.
got here, right? It's been a
Yeah.
journey, and you are, you're joining us from across the world because you are just doing all the amazing things, and I just appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and be with us today in our all things behind the scenes interview. And what I love about this show is that it's called All Things Behind the Scenes for a reason. So there are all things that have to happen to put on a major event or major show. And then we want to kind of turn the cameras around so you can kind of see some of the things that happen. And right now we have a whole lot of things happening in Shahida's background. And there'll be a whole lot of things happening with our show. And it's just part of what we want to kind of expose everyone to. So thank you again for being here. I wanted to kind of just give a preface of how I know you a little bit, and then we'll get into some questions. And so I think I want to say 2006 or so, seven ish. I was on tour, and I think I had gotten home in the city of Detroit and was off tour, and I got a call from the production manager at Shane Park at that time and asked me if I could help out with some larger shows. And immediately I was like, yes. And then it became kind of a staying staple thing, and I became kind of, a step person to the family and just was around. And I just was just admired all of the stuff that happened, behind the scenes there. And so I think I knew you then. I got to know you first time, I think, when I had an artist perform at your venue. And then I've always known about you when I got into the business. There's certain women that I look at, that I looked up when I got into artist management, and you were on the list. And so as I followed you and kind of like admired kind of how you moved and did your thing, I got a chance to actually work with you at at Shane Park. And so one just kind of give that reference of that I've been knowing you for a little bit, couple
Mhm.
years.
Yeah. We've been around the park a few times together.
Yeah, literally and figuratively. So so having said that, let's step back a little bit and give some history about, I think my first question is, what do you love about events, entertainment, just as a whole? What do you enjoy about it?
What I enjoy at the end of the day is the impact that what we do has on other people.
Mm,
It's when you've gone through 97,000 different points of details, changes, and other unexpected occurrences, and the show is on, it's live, it's popping, and you look into the audience and you see the impact of what
mm,
it is that that you've been working towards. And that's the most gratifying point, that point. And it's like, yes,
yeah,
we, we,
I
we
know that
approach
feeling.
here joy, and that's important.
And that feeling, anybody in events that do events, we know that feeling, right? It's like, you know, the we started, the host is out making the announcement, the artist showed up on time, the curtains up, the doors are open, the doors are open, the doors are open. It's like these moments where you're like, okay, we here. Whew,
Right.
we did it. And it's kind of a thankless kind of if you're looking to get into events for the pats on the back and the thank you guys, it's not the feel for you. And I'll keep saying that because I think people think this is the show is about you. The people who are behind the scenes making all this stuff happen, it's not about you. And so if you need it to be about you, then you're in the wrong business.
And if you think you're going to see all the shows and meet all
Uh-oh.
the artists, you can forget that too. You don't get to see the shows. You
Mhm.
might get a moment here or there, but you will not see, if you are doing your job,
Mm,
all that's happening on stage unless you're running audio or something, you know?
right.
Other than that, you're not gonna see it.
Even when you run it, because when I were in production, look, there's so many things that have to happen in order for there's just a million things happening. Don't let there be quick changes and, VIP parties and all the other things that have to happen. You're not seeing it either. And let's just for the record, let's just set the record straight about backstage. So that people just admire to be backstage and they want to see. You can't see a really good show backstage. Like you
No.
can't see, you can't hear. We're running around moving you out the way because you're in the way. It's a whole experience, but everybody
And do
wants to
us
be
a favor,
backstage.
don't ask. How about that? Get a seat, sit down,
Get a seat.
you
Sit
know?
down.
Yes.
So
But
let's back up. Let's back up. Let's go because we got all kind of things we can talk about with the Aretha. Let's talk about your transition because I know your history talks about arts and culture and kind of how you got started. Were you in corporate America and you made a decision to start Right Productions? Like, how did it get started?
well, I spent 10 years as the director of the City of Detroit's Council of the Arts. I was an appointee of Mayor Coleman Young. And that was an amazing experience and opportunity. I got to do so many things. The probably the most significant event that certainly the most significant event I've done to date, and probably will keep that title, is being able to produce Amandla Mandela at Tiger Stadium when
Mm,
Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela came to Detroit when he was first released from prison. And we transformed Tiger Stadium for the first time into a performance space, a concert space. And, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, Frankie Beverly Mays, 2000
mm,
Whisper, all kind of stuff happened there. Mayor Young gave me the opportunity to do that. He
that's
trusted
amazing.
he trusted me with that assignment, and
So let me just interrupt because I think you just kind of skated by. So Tiger Stadium at that point was the baseball stadium in the city of Detroit, right? It's not necessarily a concert venue,
no.
right? So you had to transform. Transform is um, it's major. It was a major transformation that had to happen. Talk about kind of what it was and some of the things that you had to do to make that a viable place for this event.
Well, first thing is that we were in a very tight time constraints. I
Mm.
think we wound up doing that in something like about 3 weeks.
Yep. Oh.
Yeah. Um,
Good
so
lord.
yeah, so it had never been used for a concert before. So the first thing is you got to deal with the staging, right? And
Mhm.
where's the stage going to be positioned and all that. Well, simultaneously, it also was not on Ticketmaster.
Ah,
It was
oh,
There was no digital online ticketing service associated with Tiger Stadium. Who really?
wow, wow.
So we had to get 50,000 seats put into a manifest in order for the tickets to go on sale. So that had to happen. And then you've got to scale seats from a position that is theoretical. It's only in your mind
Yeah.
because the stage isn't there. So you can't really see what the sight lines are going to be. It's not
Mhm.
been done. So you're like, okay, are these $100 seats or are these $20 seats? Can you see from that kind of stuff? And then the mayor charged me. He said, well, you're going to need to have
Mm, mhm,
redundant power for Tiger
mhm,
Stadium. Okay. I had to search the eastern half of the United States to find generators that were large enough
mm.
to do
So
that.
Tiger Stadium did not have generators. It wouldn't come back on if the power went out. During
No,
a game, you just ass out.
right, right.
Okay.
You just wait and do something else. I don't know.
But
So
this event
I
was
had
so important that we could not. If we lost power, that was not an option.
That was not an option.
Got you.
So there was that. I learned about pooled media feeds and scaffolding out in the middle of Tiger State. And one of the most illuminating experiences happened when I'm out in the middle of the field. There's scaffolding and power lines being run, and an electrical storm comes, and I'm jumping over power lines and climbing over scaffolding, trying to get back to shelter safely before lightning strikes.
Oh my gosh.
So
Ooh, I can only imagine.
it was um, but again, you get through all of that,
Mhm.
and and then you see the impact, and you felt the impact in the city for days.
Mm. How many people? I would imagine it was packed out, huh?
50,000 people.
Woo!
We raised $1 million,
Wow.
and I thought I was gonna die,
I
but
bet.
other than that,
Did you sleep at all? I mean, 3 weeks. How do you I did
no, the toll on my body was real. But and then Suleiman.
Mhm.
So, and my job has always been a family affair. Whatever I was doing, they were doing.
Right.
My sons. And I sent Suleiman on a mission to get something somewhere away from Tiger Stadium. And before he could get back, the Mandelas had arrived. They closed the doors and he couldn't get in.
Oh, Lord. I'm about to ask him about that.
Sorry.
And
So
so what'd you do?
he missed it. There was nothing to do.
Oh, he missed the whole
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, security is at its highest, so there's no, like, favors at the back gate kinda thing happening with this one. Hmm. So talk about that transition. So, okay, you're doing this amazing arts and cultural things with the mayor, and then did you start your business at that point? Did you, like, say, "I'm gonna
No.
do this after?"
Um, Mayor Young left office, and I went to work for the YWCA. I was the
Hmm,
executive director of the YWCA of Metropolitan Detroit. So I was over like 5 different locations, and that was interesting because I never worked in a nonprofit organization. I've worked in government before, but I never worked in a nonprofit. And one day I went to a luncheon, and Grant Hill's mother was speaking.
hmm.
And she was saying that only, and I really need to go back and check the stats. I'm going to do that when we're finished talking today, so I can
Okay,
be
I
correct.
bet.
But she was saying it was either only 10 or 20% of all women work in the for-profit sector.
Hmm.
And then I started thinking about, okay, well, if that's all women, what percentage of Black women work in the for-profit sector? And then I started, you know, going through what was at that time a Rolodex in my mind
Mhm, mhm.
and thinking of all the brilliant women that I knew and what sector they worked in. And I could only come up with maybe 3 that worked in the for-profit sector. And
Wow.
so it was at that luncheon that my mind said, "Oh, I'm out of here." I don't know what else she said that day. I don't know what else she talked about, but she's the reason that I left nonprofits, like full stop,
Excuse me.
and started the right productions. And one of the best moments the other last year was Grant Hill was actually at the Aretha backstage.
Mm,
I think it was for the Kim show, the
mm,
second show. And I got to tell him that story,
mm.
that the reason that we're standing here today is because of his mother.
Wow.
And his mother had passed like maybe a month earlier. So it
That's
was,
huge.
yeah, I was
So
really,
so she never knew that was the reason, but now he knows that you were so when you're talking about starting Right Productions, why Right Productions? Like, why a production company? Why, how did you come up with that? What was the
truthfully, I can't take credit for that. First of all, Rashid, my third son, named it.
Oh,
Okay. And oh, sorry for the dogs. and I can do that.
Okay.
Um, and the first job that I got, the first contract that I got was actually, um, you sort of call it a special event. I had an opportunity to, me and a partner of mine at that time, Fatima Strong, to do an outreach to African American men to get prostate cancer screening in
Hmm.
a non-traditional setting. So we did this in um, Reverend Van's church.
Yeah,
Okay,
second Ebenezer
Second
at that.
Ebenezer up on the
Mhm.
boulevard, right? He
Mhm.
allowed us, and we went there and we did that, and something like 15% of the men that we were able to provide those screenings for came back with elevated PSA levels, and
Mm.
when it should have been about 2 or 3%. So it was again something worth doing,
Yeah.
um, something that because of the promotional skills that you have, you can promote whatever the message is, whatever the service is that you're delivering. So did that, and then I always was going to fall back into those things that I love best, which is the arts. We
Mhm.
did early on. I wanted to present Deepak Chopra, so I did that at Orchestra Hall. And one thing led to another. I was on a flight, and you never know where your blessings are coming from, right? I
Yes.
was on a flight from Memphis. I don't even go to Memphis. And ran
Bills.
into Joe Davis,
Mm.
was a legendary person in UAW and was also part of the MGM Grand Detroit Casino getting started and whatnot. And he said that they were going to have a position to do the booking for the entertainment at the MGM.
Mm.
He gave me the opportunity to pitch for that contract, and we got it, and
Mm.
it rolled on from there.
Yeah, I think I wanna say that that's when I heard about you. I think you and Tony Wilson was at Greektown, and, like, I was booking acts, and so it just made sense for me to try to get acts at these particular places, and I heard the name Shahida Mausi, and I'm like, "A woman in this kind of field?" It's kinda ears perk up and, Google wasn't really a hot as hot as it is now, but, like, trying to ask questions about who this person was and, "Oh, she is doing all the things. She's booking acts and bigger acts," and, you have to be able to kinda get to her in order to be able to get your group on stage, and so when you first started your business, Right Productions, do you remember, like, any mistakes that you made or, like, how did you figure out how to run a business? One thing to throw a concert, but, like, running the business of throwing events is a whole 'nother thing. Like, how did you learn that part?
Well, when you start out, you don't have all the underpinnings that you would wish for once you
Yeah.
know that you need them. You know, so I had some accounting help because I'm not a bookkeeper, I'm not an accountant, and so um, you know how you start at one point and you know you want to get to this other point and but you don't have all the information that goes between point A and point B. You think
Right.
you just don't.
You just don't. Mhm.
And so you make assumptions, right?
Mm.
Based on what you think would make sense in a situation. So one of those things that I thought made sense was that if you owed payroll taxes, it would be on your accounts payable
Mm.
in an accounting software.
That's a good assumption.
No, it's not.
And
No, that
so
is no. Your payroll taxes are not on your accounts payable list.
this is true.
So if you pay all the things on your accounts payable list and think you're straight, you're not.
So how did you figure that out?
When you get that letter, you get that call. It's like, yo, you owe X. It's like,
Right.
What?
And you had an accountant at the time.
I had a bookkeeper at the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, we didn't have the money, so I did.
Ugh. Du- du- du-
Yeah.
dum.
Mhm.
And
So
so
You figure it out. You pay it. You figure out how to pay it. You make arrangements. You pay it. But yeah, that's just an assumption. That was an assumption on my part,
Mhm.
and a lack of sharing on her part.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that part.
So what would you tell to the Shahida now to that Shahida back then? Like, what would you tell yourself?
Um, First of all, make sure uh, that people disclose everything that you need to know. Ask what might otherwise be considered stupid questions. They're not. Really go in,
Yeah.
ask questions. Don't make the assumption. Ask about the assumption that you're considering making. Get some good accounting support. And if you can't afford that on a regular basis, get it on a quarterly basis. Have somebody look at your stuff.
Yeah.
Do something to help protect yourself because you can go down hard
Mm.
um, through no intention of, you know, not paying attention or not being responsible, just by virtue of the fact that you just don't know that stuff.
You don't know till you know.
Right.
It's one of those things. And there's many facets of that, right? The financial part, it could be the marketing part, it could be, you know, being HR mistakes,
Yep.
just in general employee relational type of things. It's like if you're hiring a staff and what that looks like. There's
Hmm.
just so many things that you don't know until you don't know, you know? And so um let's talk about just being a boss. Right now, being a boss is real trendy, online. You're a boss bee and all the things that everybody's trending to be a boss. Someone to own the things, and travel the world and look pretty and all the things, right? They've painted this picture that that's what the lifestyle is. What do you have to say about that? And can you give any context to the myths that have been spread around about being a business owner online?
Well, I think that the first thing is that, and it kind of goes back to that accounting situation, right? If you don't know enough to supervise somebody, you're in a precarious situation. So you need to learn enough about all aspects of your business, so that you can supervise somebody, so that you can double check to make sure that the things that need to get done have been done. Because if you don't know the job at all, you don't know whether it's being done.
That's
Um,
correct.
so every job, yeah, I think every job at the Aretha, to one level or another, I've done. Um, and that includes picking up the trash, taking it out, cleaning restrooms, whatever.
Hmm.
It has to be done. Know something about it. Shadow your employees. Don't, there is no job that is unimportant. There is no person that's part of your team that is any less important to the overall experience of your customers than you are important. So are they,
Mm.
and you need to convey that and demonstrate that through what you do.
So do you think that this new, I call it a trend because it just feels very trendy, about, how easy it is, because that's kind of how they put it, right? To be a boss. You know, do you think that that has some merit? How do you respond to this kind of notion that everybody can be a boss?
Yeah, but when you are the startup, you're the last one that gets paid.
Say that again for the people in the back.
When you are in business, you are the last one to get paid.
Yep. Hallelujah. The people in the back. Uh,
Yeah,
Elaborate,
and
please.
yeah, so there have been those days,
Mhm.
when paid everybody else. Oh well. So it's not a position for the faint of heart.
Mm.
Um, when there's a problem, you're the one that's there late and early and walking the floor and on and exposed to the legal ramifications of whatever it is that has happened or has not happened. It's you. You're on the line,
Mm.
and you live on that line all the time. So if you're not willing to give over the majority of your life
Yeah.
to what it is that you want to be the boss of, take a 9 to 5, pick up the check, and go home and have some fun on the weekends. We don't get you.
Just say that one more time. Do what now?
You know that 9 to 5 that we've all thought about every now and again. It's like just gonna get me a job.
Go get
You
you
know,
a check. Yep.
pick me up a check. But once you've done it, and once you have succeeded um, in living this life, because it's a faith walk. It's a faith
Mm.
walk. A lot of the way, all of the way, really. But it's a faith walk when you don't know where that next check or that next contract is coming from. If you don't have um, the faith
Mm.
and the drive, the commitment, the tenacity
Mm.
to see it through when you just don't know where it's coming from, don't do it.
Mm.
If you can't not do it, then God bless you. Come on, you'll make it through like the rest of us have. But
Right,
it's
and I was gonna ask you about those characteristics that keep you going, and those characteristics of a business owner, the tenacity and, the drive and finding your motivation someplace to keep you going when stuff is not working out like you thought it would, and that can't give it up kind of thing. You can't what are you gonna do?
right.
I don't there is no plan B, like, for me. So, like, okay, let's go. You know, it's I feel like it is um, kind of growing up on the East Side and having to deal with the neighborhood the way it was and had to fight and grow and the grime and the grit of that.
Mhm.
I put all of that into my business
Mhm.
because sometimes it requires that. Sometimes it requires finesse. Sometimes it requires, a really hard conversation. It's all of the things.
It's
And
a
if you're
really
not
hard
willing to do those things,
way.
then you know,
Yeah, don't do it.
don't
Just
do it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so so then that leads me to just being a woman, um, as a business owner, but a woman in entertainment, woman as a event curator in the arts. Do you find yourself, or have you found yourself over the years, kind of dealing with any, sexism or as a black woman, racism? Like, what do you deal with as a woman in entertainment?
Sure.
That's the end of that statement.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, what are you talking about?
Um,
So
yeah,
talk about a situation that happened and maybe something that, how you got out of it or changed it or,
I mean, there've
dealt with
been there've been a lot of
it.
situations,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
lots of situations. There's situations when um, you're paying an artist and they think you're giving them their check
Mhm.
and they think you come with the check.
Uh, 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 Smack. Oh,
There's
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Does that still happen to you?
Not now because
Yeah.
plus I've gotten so old now.
Whatever.
But um,
How do you so I'm new in the entertainment management or entertainment curation events, and I'm a new woman in this space, like, how do I navigate that type of stuff?
um, first of all, with how you present yourself,
Mm,
and that it's business, it's straight no chase. I'm not there to be charmed or charming.
mm,
I'm there to accomplish a job professionally, and everything that I do supports that, right?
yeah,
Um,
consistently.
yeah. Um, I remember having to advise a young woman that worked for me who I needed to, accomplish some specific task, and people were just blowing her off. They were just not paying attention to what she was saying to them, and as though it had real weight or consequence. I told her to drop her voice an octave.
Mm.
It worked. She was up here because she had that soft voice that she had in high school, and that was the voice that that she was used to using.
Mm.
But she needed to have a more gravitas in her voice so that there was more. Unfortunately, that's where people perceive strength
Yeah.
in how you enunciate and how you phrase things. Right? You're ending a sentence not with a lilt that goes up like a question mark,
Mm.
but a statement,
That's
right?
good.
That's clear. Things of that nature. Yeah, there've been a lot. When I went to Polestar, which is industry conference annually, the first time I went, I was one of four women in that room.
Mm.
There were a couple hundred men, and they were, I'm certain, 97% white.
Mhm. Sound
Um,
about right.
and I felt completely alone because I was. And yet I was in that room, and I wasn't going to just go to my room.
Mm.
Um, it's gotten some better, but that's not been that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
still a very male-dominated space,
I'm
and
still the only woman that manages a venue the size of the Aretha, black or white, in the country.
in the country. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Just and I think part of why I wanted to do this podcast is to kind of bring light to some of these jobs and careers and opportunities and businesses that people are doing that are ran by women, and
Mhm.
especially Black women, and that are doing a phenomenal job at it. You know what I mean? So, um, I want to talk a little bit about the Aretha, and then just kind of just shed some light on a couple things because what I don't think people understand or don't really recognize, you come and you go to this concert and you know all these things happen, you meet your favorite celebrity or whatever. But over the years you have employed thousands of Detroiters.
Mhm.
You've given opportunity for businesses like myself and others to partner with you guys as contractors. You have I've watched interns walk through there and get skills at this location that they might not get anyplace else. The impact that the Right Productions has had in the city of Detroit is massive.
Thank you.
And I don't think people really take time to say thank you for all that, you guys have done, and Shahida, how you've been doing this for 20 years. You know what I mean? 36 years. What was it? 26 years and
Yeah.
20 years. And so and skill sets that you know my producer Dejanay had a chance to come through as an intern and learn so many valuable skills that she is now using even here on the show. So I just wanted to make sure I said thank you for those of us who have benefited from being involved and being connected with what you guys have accomplished over at the Right Productions in Shane Park and the Aretha.
Thank you. Our joy. It is a team that, because if you show up at the Aretha, and you're gonna get put to work.
Well, say
You know
that.
that,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 ma'am.
Let's find something for you to do right now.
Yeah,
But one of the things that is also happening now is that we are hiring for the summer.
yeah.
And we are also working with IATSE Local 38. They
Mm,
are hiring. So if you come to our job fair or log on to thearetha.com, we can connect you with the opportunities to join the Stagehands Union. And we
mm.
need people of color to be there. We
Okay,
need
we definitely will
our
be sending
women.
that out on our social
Yeah.
media as well to help
We
you with
need,
that because we do need
and those are good
people.
jobs.
They're very good job and they pay very good money because every time I do an event and there's a union involved, I got to pay a whole lot of money.
Whole
So
lot of, whole lot of
so very good jobs, and I think It's just one of, if you know, you know. It's like one of those spaces that if you're not around people who talk about the union, it's foreign to you. And if you're in production at all, doing anything, you really should know about the union and the opportunities that it presents to. So, and then, the Aretha is just one of those venues you get to actually come and work really hard, but you actually get the chance to see the show.
Yeah,
If you're in union, you work in the stage. You're tired, but other than that,
yeah.
no
We'll
faint of
be there
heart.
till 3 in the morning, but
Whatever.
summer.
It's part of the job.
Yeah.
Comes with the job. So let's talk about the Aretha. There's been so many amazing experiences that I can think about um, at the Aretha and dealing with, artists and getting them from one point A to point B, whether it's a car to the stage or the dressing room to the stage or through the fans. Do you have and I know this is one of those moments, right? You can't really say, but one of those like favorite moments or exciting moments that happened at the Aretha? Doesn't have to be the one because you don't want to leave anybody out. But what's like one of the ones that you were like, this right here, this is it for me?
Of getting people to the stage? Of
No, just in general, the concerts in general. The artists that you've worked with. Was there like, do you have a favorite? Do you have, and we're not talking about problems. We're just talking about this is a joyous concert. Like they did an amazing job,
oh,
packed house, like
uh-huh.
one of those like
Okay,
memorables.
so not one of the ones when the artist showed up 5 hours late.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next. We're gonna give accolades first.
Okay,
Then we'll talk about the other ones.
the great experiences. There've been a lot. Um, One of my favorites was Earth, Wind& and Fire,
Mm,
because it's something that I wanted to do for a really long time, and they were booked basically exclusively by Live Nation,
mhm,
and played always, for the last, I don't know, 20 years probably, at Pine Knob, or DTE Energy as it was then called. Um, and but I wanted them at the Aretha. I wanted them at Shane Park. And for 5 years, I knocked on their door. I used every route in that I could find to get to a decision maker who could make that happen.
and
We,
why did they change their mind? What was it about what you said that they said yes to you?
we finally wound up meeting with management as
Okay.
opposed to meeting with the agent. I had sat with the agent. I had offered the agent exactly the dollar figure that they asked for, um, and I still didn't get the date.
Mm. Why do you
And
think that is?
I won't go into what I was told,
Okay.
but I didn't get the date. We finally got to management, and management told the agent to make it happen, and
Nice.
we got the show. And so when that performance happened, um, and we were, um, we had lighting that we've never had before. And because, but their production team and the man who manages their production, who's a bulldog
Mm,
and a stickler, and you can learn so much from somebody who can be just so hard, you
yes.
know. Um, but he brought it in, and we did the structural analysis, and we got it done so that their production values hit the stage at the Aretha. Um, and then the audience,
Yeah.
right? It was everybody. It was black folks, white folks, young folks, old folks. It was all the fans of Earth, Wind, and Fire who knew all the songs and hadn't been out to DTE in a long, long time. And it was just a complete love, joy.
Mm.
And
That's
that's
a
what,
feeling. That's that feeling, right? That you can't like unless you in it, you don't know that feeling.
right.
And I know exactly the feeling. I get goosebumps thinking about like what it was like to stand on that stage and watch the audience and watch this all come together. You know.
And the artist feels it, right?
Oh yeah.
We felt that in a long, long time,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it's more intimate than DTE. Like, Aretha. is way more intimate. So you feel whether the audience likes you or whether the audience does not. You instantly feel that immediately,
And that
you know,
river does its own magnification, I think.
a whole nother set
Yeah,
of awesomeness.
yeah. So that was the high point. Another one was when Smokey Robinson. I know I'm dating myself with all these old acts, right? But
It's
anyway,
okay.
um, Smokey Robinson was performing, and Aretha came to see him, and
Hmm. Did she
that
sing with him?
no, what she did. Um, so Brenda Jones, City Council President, was wanting to give him a Spirit of Detroit award and all that kind of stuff backstage. Well, she was there ready to do it, and he wasn't ready, and she had to leave. And Aretha was sitting in my office, and she said, "Well, would you like me to do it?" It's like, yeah. And she, people see the Spirit of Detroit award, and you see proclamations come to the stage, and it's like, Lord, please don't let these people read this whole thing. Please, please don't let that happen. Aretha read that entire proclamation, and there
But
was
it's
not
Aretha.
a sound. There was not a sound.
Mm,
The room was packed, and she read it with such love.
mm,
And then he grabbed her and he kissed her, and it's a photograph, but it was just, and she was already frail.
mm.
Um, they'd known each other since they were 7 years old, and
Right.
to see that come together in that kind of way
And
was
that happened at the Aretha.
at the Aretha backstage.
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. And I know there's many more. I can tell you my one of my favorite, and I have many too, because I was doing production at the Aretha. One of my favorite eye kind of moments that I really, really enjoyed was DMX, and I got a chance to hold his hand while he prayed for the Rough Riders. And when I tell you that brother could pray, I know he dealt with his own demons, but when I tell you he prayed the paint off the walls, and I had his hand and he was squeezing, blood was probably coming out because he was squeezing my hand so hard, but it was people were in tears. It was just one of those moments that I mean, there was 100 of them. We were all in a circle back in the parking lot, and he wanted to pray, and we all got together and we prayed, and he prayed for a while, and it was just one of those moments, right? You're like, "Oh, this will never be repeated. Not this, the way it is, watering back." Like it was just one of those kind of things. I think about that often,
Hmm.
and now that, after his passing and all the things that they would say about him, that's my moment for DMX. Now the show was all kind of craziness, but the but the parking lot situation was great before. So challenging moments, we'll just call them that. Top top artist, top situation that was the most challenging on getting the artist to the stage.
The absolute top one happened on a Labor Day weekend, and I think was it Labor Day Monday, Labor Day Sunday. Anyway, down in that way, not Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
And we had a sold out house, and we'd done all our sound checks and everything. We're ready to roll. Haven't seen the principal, but everybody. That's not unusual. You're not necessarily going to see the principal at sound check. Okay. Got a call 15 minutes after we opened doors.
Mm,
Said we're stuck in traffic
mm.
in Gary, Indiana.
Oh, shoot. It's only a few hours away.
And like four on a good day. But we're talking about Labor Day weekend with traffic.
Mhm.
And so I started trying to find uh, a private jet.
Mm,
Okay, well, is there a jet in Gary? No. How about Kalamazoo? What about Benton Harbor? What as you come up 94,
mhm.
Detroit, I kept looking for private jets, and I could either, if I found a jet, I couldn't find a crew that was sober or slept.
Oh.
They had to drive the entire route, and when they finally got to the city, to we got him a police escort from the county line. Um, but walked into what was then Shane Park backstage and went to the dressing room and picked up something that was on the rider, as in um, a gaming console.
Mm, mhm.
I lost it.
Wait. Let's just be clear. Um, everybody's waiting. You're super duper late. Traffic, Labor Day weekend. Driving all the way from Gary, Indiana, and you walk into the dressing room because we're waiting for you to change and get your ass on stage,
We don't even.
and
You go use the bathroom. Oh,
and they pick up a gaming console. They need to chillax for a minute. Is that what's happening?
mhm.
Mhm, mhm.
No,
Do I know who this is?
you probably do, but 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 Mother Mausi came out that day because stardom didn't mean anything to me at that point.
Right.
Like, get your
Ass
what
on the
you need to
stage now.
do.
Yeah, because mother said so.
Hmm.
Did that work?
It did.
Okay, good.
And the next time that person came, they were really sweet. Really,
Hmm.
it was a totally different experience. But
So, because here's the thing, and I think, from a layman's point, they don't fully understand all of that, right? So there's a time, and you want to be off the stage by a certain time. There's money involved. There's the ticket holders that expect to be out of there by a certain time. There's so much impact that if an artist is late getting on, that just begets. It pushes everything back, right? And so, at that point, were you behind time in getting everything started?
he didn't
Did
even
everybody leave? What
know.
happened?
He didn't get there till after midnight.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we've blown through every curfew. You know, we're in double overtime for the union. Oh yeah. Did the audience leave? No, most of them didn't. So it must have been Sunday night. It couldn't have been Monday night.
Okay.
Must have been Sunday night. Most of the people stayed. We did our best to keep them entertained and served with concessions while we awaited the arrival of the headliner.
There's so many stories.
Yeah,
So many stories. And I think, at one point there was a reality show. Is that a thing that's happening, not happening, kinda
it
stalled
is.
out? There is
It
a
is.
reality show because I thought that was just a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
There's just there's a Black-owned company, for one, ran by a woman, for two, and the shenanigans that happen in that room, in the admin building, and getting that artist on stage, just that thing could be an episode every single day. I just think this is a gold mine and all of the things. Unless you've been a part of it, you really don't have a clue.
Right.
Y
And
you have
it happens so fast. You're trying to at least take notes. Like this crazy thing happened today.
Yeah,
Because otherwise by tomorrow there'll be some other crazy stuff, and what happened crazy yesterday it'll be gone. So you have to try and
yeah,
yeah.
and the show must go on. So the idea that you were looking for a private jet to get the artist from one point A to point B, that's just the the tip of the iceberg of the things that you come up with and trying to get the show must go on, right? And so you have to do whatever you need to do to make that happen.
But keep a list of private jet companies in your drawer.
Right.
Okay.
Who
Don't
knew?
know where that came from, but I had one.
I know. I love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about dating life. And just in general, you do all this stuff. Most Fridays, Saturdays at this point, you may not have to stay. You have people that can stay and do all those shows. You're also doing touring all over the country and doing those amazing things. Any advice for women bosses who are doing similar things what you're doing, in dating and finding someone that could support all of these amazing things that a woman is doing? Any advice for them?
Um, First thing is to take care of you.
Mm,
Self care is really important, and it's not to be um, uh, something of a source of guilt
mm,
or you know put off. Take care of you. If you don't take care of you, why would you expect somebody else to take
mm,
care of you?
that's good.
You're valuable. Treat yourself as you are valuable. Um, The next thing is, do you.
Mm,
God will provide for you what it is that you really ask Him for. First of all, He really
mm,
does answer prayers. Might not be when you think you want it, but He answers prayers. Be specific in your prayers.
yeah.
Do that, right?
Mhm.
And then you've done that. Let that rest. God doesn't need your reminders. He's got, like overwatering a plant. Don't do that. Just you got he heard you. He knows the desires of your heart. He really does.
Mm, I agree.
So trust him, you know?
Mm,
Um and I think those are the most important things that it's possible, right?
mm,
Um Time, it just is what it is. The other thing I would say to people is, especially people who are powerful or in position of influence or authority, so don't make yourself small for anybody.
mm.
Don't make yourself small.
Yeah, we do that, don't we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
do. Don't shrink in to try and, well, if I just move my rib over, I can like accommodate with it. My
Mm.
rib is this where it goes, right? And well, no, don't. Mm-mm.
I like that. I
Hold
like
your
that.
space. Don't be small. Don't make yourself small. And we don't sometimes even realize that we're making ourselves small.
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
we're shrinking our personalities. We're shrinking our competencies. We're shrinking our, you know,
Yeah,
you are who you are. Be that.
be that. I'm all about that. And I think, it's been, you know, I'm gonna say society or whoever, culture has kind of, even from a spiritual standpoint, has told us
Mhm.
that we need to be a certain kind of way in order for a man to be interested or a mate to be interested. And so I think, what you said about, not diminishing your light and just being who you are, authentically you. Just be
Mhm.
you. How
Mhm.
are you going to attract who you want and you trying to be somebody else?
True.
You know what I mean? That doesn't work. And so if you're looking for that person, you got to be all of you so that they can see all of you.
But looking for that other person is a whole nother thing. Looking
Mm,
for, because then you're out here searching. You, do you?
mm,
I was blessed to meet my husband. I wasn't looking for, and I was in the place that I thought least likely, probably in the Western Hemisphere, to find a decent man. And there he was sitting right in front of me. I
wow.
wasn't looking. God put him there. God put
Mm.
me.
You had to be ready for that though.
I had to be ready and he had to be ready. And so if you're not ready, then just keep on, build your business. When you're ready, it'll be there because you could spend a lot of time and have your feelings hurt and out of sorts because you're searching, you're looking, eh, just do
Yeah,
you. And
just do
and
you.
if you're doing what you love doing and you're in places that you love being, then
Hmm,
people who love doing and being will be there too.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, Speaking of family, I wanted to ask you, we all have nobody knows the day or the hour when God decides, it's time for us to go. What type of legacy are you hoping to leave with those that remain here? Meaning, what do you want people to know about you? What do you want them to say about you when, it's that time?
That I left it all on the floor
Mm,
and that I left enough of a building, or left enough of a structure, or left enough of an energy that people can build upon what I did.
mm. And, you're doing that. So just just know that the structure has been created and people are walking within it, because of your efforts and your, sacrifice. and your, you know, experience, and you're being able to share all of this amazing, all your experiences with so many different people. Um, you're already doing that. You've created a legacy. And I think just with your family as well, right? Because it's a family affair for you, you know, in that things will go on because it becomes a family affair for them. You've
Otherwise,
kind of.
I'm in quantum.
Oh, mother's gonna come back and haunt everybody.
There's that, I'll be knocking on that, shaking that window shade.
Oh, I believe that. I believe I believe that. I have one question. I know we got to go, but I want to know, before we close, um, who people think you are as opposed to who you actually are. Do you ever think about that?
Well, people think that I'm gregarious or that I am, you know, public, comfortable in public. I'd really much rather be sitting quietly reading a book than dealing with a lot of people most of the time. But
Mm,
that's not an option. So if I want to do what I want to do, then I had to get up and learn how to work that room, talk to strangers, and you know,
but that's not your preference. So that doesn't come like automatically and natural. It's just
no,
a thing that you had to learn, exercise a muscle to do that.
yes, yes,
That's interesting because you're right. I don't think people would know that about you.
yeah. No, I'm really shy.
Are you really? Really?
Yep.
That's amazing. See, people think they know you, but they have no idea. All right. You do what's necessary
Yeah.
to get it done.
Yep.
Right. And as I got older, I'm more of a introvert, extrovert. Like I don't need to be. I've done all that. Been in the crowds, done the thing, but I really just I'm a homebody, and I'd rather just be at home these days. And so I've changed. My personality is changing, I think. And I don't know if it comes with just experience and wisdom and age and just want to be quiet and self care. But yeah, things change as you get older. So before we close, um, just just giving us like your life lesson, mantra, thing that you kind of hold on to as you just do whatever it is you're doing with people that are listening.
Um, the only thing that really will get in your way is fear,
Mm,
and my spiritual learning has been that fear is simply a lack of faith. So if you
mm,
have faith, you should have no fear.
mm.
So go forth and tackle whatever it is you think you want to tackle. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good way to end our conversation. Thank you so much, Shahida, for taking the time all the
Thanks.
way from where
Ah,
you are.
home.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so, so much. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of All Things Behind the Scenes podcast, where we discuss all things events and entrepreneurship. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of each new episode. You can also follow us on All Things BTS Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. We welcome all comments and suggestions. So let us know what you think. We love hearing from you. So until next time, remember that the only thing that you can guarantee about an event and life is that it will change. Be blessed.